Okay, we're going to go to Kim in the audience. Kim?
I still have to answer your question.
Right after Kim answers this question.
Later.
And I said, you feel that fear and misunderstanding are often expressed in terms of anger, Kim?
Yeah, well, I'm a psych major and deviance major at psychology.
Right.
And the fear and the misunderstanding is usually expressed through anger and violence. Like a friend of mine just got beat up the other day, and I was beat up once. And this is by a man that beat me up. It wasn't women that were uncomfortable about me being a lesbian.
Oh, yes, it's generally men who are...
No, well, I've been beat up by a woman too, but...
For the same reason?
No, that was another reason, but it's, well, it's the same idea though. I was a freak at the time, not a punk, but
Right, okay.
you know, and it's the same idea where you visually were different, and they noticed it. And I just tried to stop a fight, and then she decided to pound my head in.
Okay, let's pick up on that point. There are a lot of men, I mean, the macho, or the men who regale the most, who hate those fags and who make those filthy, awful jokes and regale the fag just to such a degree. Do they do that because, why do they do that?
Because society has this image. Society makes these jokes. Johnny Carson makes the jokes, and everybody likes to pretend about the fags and adopt the lingo and the gait and the effective behavior, the stereotype, and everybody laughs. And this is a common game we're all in, and we all do it. So,
are men threatened somehow, though?
Men are threatened, but the point that this young lady is making is the most important point of all, is that we, as human beings, do not like deviance. We don't like anybody who deviate from the straight and narrow, our straight and narrow.
Right.
And our straight and narrow has to be the only straight and narrow. Now, I have one of my patients, a terrific young man who's a college student, who's schizophrenic. And he always says to me, Saul, why is it that I can't make friends? Why do they always reject me? And they reject him.
Because he's different. They're afraid of him.
There is something different about him. You can't put your finger on it. He looks different when you're near him, but he's bright, and he's verbal, and he's articulate, and he's in college. He's taking advanced courses. But he's different. So he is ostracized. He's made fun of. They wouldn't beat him up because he's twice the size of anybody. But he would be beaten up if he was, you know, a foot shorter. And I think human beings can be extraordinarily intolerant and cruel in that respect.
Your son comes to you, one of your
Wait,
three sons.
one more thing. Do you remember, before I get to my sons, do you remember the teacher who was beaten up and murdered two years ago in the park? Now, I met two of the boys who did it. A students, nice families, warm kids, athletic, worked in church groups, all the things you want kids to be, they were. They all had a bunch of beers together, 6 boys, and they saw Mr. So-and-so sitting in a car at the Hyde Park, and they went after him and kicked the hell out of him and killed him. They killed him. Now, this boy, especially one of them that I spoke to, had no ounce of prejudice within him, and yet with the booze, which is a disinhibitor, all the prejudice and the anger and the anti-deviancy of society came to the fore.
And this herd instinct.
And the herd instinct. It's a kind of, they wouldn't do it alone.
No.
Wouldn't do it even in 2. But among 6, suddenly they were very brave, and they did the most god-awful behavior. Now, after the fact, they were all so full of remorse, so hateful of themselves that they did it, that they couldn't even believe that they did it. Now, of course, and they wanted to get off. And when I saw them, I wanted to, this little boy, why should he be in a jail for the rest of his life? In fact, this society, well, you and I have had this discussion many times, a separate discussion. Why should this kid stay in a jail for the rest of his life? He's such a sweet kid. He could be your son or my son. Maybe not, but I'm
I don't know, Saul. Could your son or my son get that crazy with a bunch of... I mean, we all have this herding instinct where we all get too drunk and do that, or only some of us?
I think not. I think not all kids could, and I think they were probably brought up in families where anti-homosexuality had been expressed, or maybe in a cultural milieu. But I'm saying it's a very widespread kind of feeling. You guys are in high school, and a lot of you have not felt the derision.
Oh, but you must have. I mean, you've heard that.
There is derision. There is public ostracism. There are jobs you can't hold because of these. I heard a debate 2 weeks ago on on PBS. There is a popular debating show. Anyway, McLaughlin Group it's called, and these were erudite scholars saying that homosexuals shouldn't be in the armed forces. 1988, because they couldn't be trusted, and they could be captured, and we could get top-level secrets from them. 1988. So
we're going to take a break. We're back with more in just a moment.
My sons.
Your sons. Your sons.
I'll tell you.